Hi everyone, I'm immigration lawyer John Khosravi. Thank you for joining us today, Tuesday, July 28th, where we're going to have a Q&A question and answer session like we do every Monday through Thursday, talking about U.S. immigration, and take your questions live as they come on TikTok, immigration lawyer John, and on Tuesdays, Instagram, JQK Law Firm. And the recording of this made available on YouTube. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and ring that bell to get the notifications, not only of the recordings of these live videos that go on for half an hour every Monday or Thursday, but also all the clips I put out there, samples of approval notices, news events that go in the community section, and also other types of videos where I break things down. In a couple of days, I'm going to have a really good video that breaks down an 8-step process of finding and hiring an immigration lawyer, and it really is the way I would do it, and I want to share that with you. It's a 20 or 25 minute long video, a lot of details in there. I think it's the best version of this explanation there is out there, and it's going to be helpful for a lot of you. And thank you for my regulars who are tuning in again and saying hello. Abdul Shah saying good to see you. And other than that, two things I want to note is, if you're interested in looking into a fiance or a marriage green card case, the first thing you should do is go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook and download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card ebook. And that's the pivotal source where you should start when you're starting to think about bringing a spouse or a fiance in the United States. It breaks down the process on the first page, or the cover, then the first page. It has a chart that breaks down how you do it. So if your spouse is overseas, if in the United States, if there's any violations for inadmissibility, what you got to do, it really breaks it down, answers it, so you have it in your palm of your hands without even having to talk with a lawyer. Just in the safety of your own home, you could download it and review it, and whenever you're ready, contact my law firm to schedule a consultation, and that's the way of that. And another quick note, yesterday at the beginning of the video, we talked about DACA, deferred action for child arrivals, being okay. They're accepting cases. You're getting receipts for them now. Well, as it would be under this administration, today we get another memo that they say, no, you cannot submit new DACA applications. They will not receipt them. They'll send them back, and no advance parole too. We'll see what the courts say about that. We'll see what happens. But every day is new, and that's why you got to have an attorney that's keeping on top of the news, because it seems every 5 or 6 hours something changes. And unfortunately, I know it stresses people out, it stresses me out, and trying to be on top of all this stuff, but I'll try to do my best and to share that info with you. So with that, let's get it started. All right, everybody, let's see. We have all our regulars. Thank you for joining us. Good face, I bet you feel important doing this. Yeah, it's not bad. Let's see what else is going on. All right, everybody, thanks for joining. As I mentioned in the intro, the deferred action for child arrivals has been a major up and down. There's some success, some failure. They accept cases, they don't. So DPHS, the Department of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, who's running it, the acting director, issued a memorandum today. It's about 8 pages. I didn't have time to go through the whole thing, but essentially some key parts is they're not accepting advance parole for DACA people, the people who have DACA, and they're not accepting new DACA cases. We'll see how the courts deal with that. There's a lot of active things happening right now. We don't really know how it's all going to end up being, but that's the situation we're having right now. You got to do it. Alex asks, do lawyers make a lot of money? Well, some lawyers do and some lawyers don't. It just depends on how good they are and how well they can get business. So it varies drastically. Now, and then good money is relative too. Some places are more expensive than others. It depends on your perspective, but no, it's not a consistent thing. When I was a kid growing up, they said lawyers are all rich. Well, it's not really the case. They might have a good lifestyle, make a lot of, they may make money, but there's a lot of extra costs that come with being an attorney that you may not be aware of. So it's not necessarily that money all goes in their pocket and they have a lot of savings and that kind of stuff. But it depends how good a lawyer you are and what kind of stuff you do. But if you do it right, you'll have a good lifestyle while you're working. It's not bad, but it's a stressful job. Being a lawyer has a lot of responsibility. So each person in their lives has problems. And when they have really big problems, they either go to a doctor because they're getting sick, or they go to a lawyer. And so people only come to you that problems, and I just can't have one client, or the lawyer just can't have one client. They may have to have 10, 20, 30, 40 clients. So imagine 40 people with serious issues coming to you, and when you sign a contract to say you're going to represent you, be your lawyer, all those problems become my problems. Your enemies become my enemies. So what happens all of a sudden is I'm one person and have the weight of the issues of 40 people's lives. I mean, it's a lot of stress. So when people think, oh, lawyers are rich, you gotta understand what all that does. And Chocolate Anonymous, a fellow immigration attorney, Sarah Brunet, says, do not do immigration if money is the motivation. That's the thing. Immigration lawyers are historically the least paid immigration or just attorney group, but a lot of us do it because of the passion, how much we love helping people, having that interaction one-on-one. A lot of us come from immigrant families too, so we know the experience. It isn't the money-making field, but there are immigration lawyers do really well too. So it just really depends on what kind of work you do and what kind of business that you run. But that's definitely true, Sarah. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Abdul Rashad says, I'm already married and I already filed my I-130 for my spouse. Can I file for a fiance because it's faster? So this is a misnomer that's going around. Another client of mine brought this up. Well, fiance visa cases are faster. It's not necessarily the case. One portion of it, the consular processing may be faster, but the consular processing during COVID is risky because the K-1 fiancé doesn't have the exemptions and exceptions that a spouse of a U.S. citizen has. In this particular case, if you're already married, you can't then file a fiancé visa because you're married already. Fiancé visa is so the foreign fiancé can enter the United States and you can get married. If you're already married, you can't use that. But this idea that fiancé visa is faster in any noticeable way that's worthwhile, in my opinion, is missing. Plus, fiancé visa has other issues. When the fiancé comes, they won't have a work permit for many, many months. They won't get a green card for many, many months. So if they want to come here and work, that's not going to happen. They may be stalled 6, 8 months, a year, maybe more, before they actually get the green card. And there's more filing fees involved too, because not only do you have to deal with the embassy, once you come in, you have to file for adjustment of status and probably do an interview. So the interactions with the government are twofold. So, I don't really recommend doing fiancé visas unless it's a rare case, the facts of it are appropriate for it. But this idea that you filed an I-130, you can do a fiancé visa, that's just not happening because you're already married. You're not a fiancé anymore, so that doesn't work. Alex, thank you for sharing the host and your kind words. I appreciate it. And Cobb says, I'm renewing my DACA. Is a change of marital status something like look into a lot? No, DACA itself has nothing to do with changing marital status. So, just as long as it's a divorce or marriage or whatever, it doesn't matter. I mean, if there's domestic violence and you get arrested and convicted, that kind of thing is serious. But just on its face, what you're telling me, you may have gotten married or divorced or something like that, that itself has no bearing on DACA. That's not one of the bases of getting that benefit from the government. The basis is just having background that's clean and having satisfied the requirements, the presence requirements in the United States, and having a high school degree or work experience, that kind of stuff. Alex says, what does an immigration lawyer do specifically? Okay, so an immigration attorney helps people through the process of attaining U.S. Immigration benefits. So whether they're going to do affirmative benefits, they're going to ask for something, or defensive, they're being kicked out of the United States and want to stay in here, we help go through the process with the government, either in court litigation-wise or transactional, the paperwork and the laws involved. Now, there's a lot of forms involved, and people mistakenly think it's just a simple form thing. The forms are the least amount of work that we do. Majority of the work is going over the nuances of the law and how they fit with the client, and then dealing with the agencies of the government, the ports, CBP, ICE potentially, courts, EOIR, USCIS, and handling the case for them to just make a smoother path if possible, and catching issues, red flags that people may not be aware of, because it is a law, and law is always complicated and written in weird ways, and it's hard to understand. So when someone hires me, I kind of shepherd them through the process after vetting them, making sure I do my best to see if there are any issues that could be problematic that could stop the case, or we need to do extra paperwork on. So I just had a client we had a consultation with, and he had some history that he didn't think was a big deal, but I dived down, got the documents, so now there's some major issues. It's fixable in that case, but we got to get all these different court records. I got to read what they are and then write an explanation to the immigration office when we submit the case, and also be with them at his interview so we could, better explain to the officer they don't get misguided and think this guy can't get a benefit, but he can. But his background is a little messy, and we got to make it easier to digest and understand by the immigration department. So that's just a synopsis of what an immigration attorney does. Tegla says, when open USCIS in Alaska? I don't know. Check uscis.gov to check out your local offices and see what's happening. User RF says, can F4 be expedited under any circumstances? So F4 is a family-based preference category for brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens. Now, the I-130, which is the request for them to come, you could potentially expedite that, but it's not a smart thing to do. I don't go into why, but what you may be asking is expediting their place on line under the visa bulletin based on their priority date. And no, there's only so many green cards every year that are open. When you submit your Form I-130, you get your place in line, and then you just have to wait for your place in line to come. That place in line is not being expedited. I-130 can be expedited, but it's not recommended in 99% of the cases, unless you have some really fact scenario that's unknown. But other than that, no, unfortunately, there is this line, and that's what it is. Now, a colleague, Sarah Burnell on Instagram says, he says, form preparers for adjustment of status is the green card application. They charge like $1,000 a case. Lawyers don't charge nearly as much for the form part. It's all about the strategy and the legal monitoring. That's it. You know, you're going to have all these questions. You want to know what's going on. You want to have a lawyer stay updated. Frequently, people who are just form preparers on this stuff do it wrong. And I talked about this yesterday. I had a form preparer. This person got a green card through marriage, but because their marriage is new, they get a conditional 2-year green card. When the 2-year comes up, they have to file a form I-751, removal of conditions. And in that, they have to prove that the relationship was real, it's not a fake relationship. Well, this form preparer told them to do form I-90. And form I-90 is a simple form meant to renew a 10-year green card, not a 2-year conditional green card. So they submit that gets denied because it was an inappropriate form, and most likely they're gonna get a hearing date to go in front of a judge now in deportation or removal proceedings. They could probably still salvage the case. The cost just went up 2 or 3 times, and the stress of going to court, especially in COVID-19, and interacting in the court setting is going to be a disaster, a nightmare. It's just a horrible situation. But that's what happens. You had a form preparer do it, so that you're going to get that kind of guidance, and that form preparer has no responsibility. They'll say, okay, sorry. Now, if I say something wrong like that, I get sued and lose my license, and it's going to cost me. But someone else is not a lawyer does that because they don't have the bar requirements, all this kind of stuff, or licenses, all that. They're like, whatever, one mistake, get out the door, I'll get someone new. And so there's a lot that comes with it, and the fees are associated with that because of the responsibility that I and other attorneys have to take on when we sign on that down the line. When we sign a contract with you, that responsibility is very serious, and we have to take it seriously. Your lives are in our hands. Abdul Shah says, can I remarry my spouse? Abdul Shah, no. I mean, you're married. That doesn't make sense. Let's see. Dreamwave, thank you for following. Monster says, do I have to send in my federal tax returns with my I-864, or can I just send my W-2? No, you have to send either your federal tax returns or your tax transcript for the most recent year. That is 100% mandatory. They're going to RFE you or maybe deny you if you don't submit those. So make sure you have a complete set of your federal tax returns with all attachments that are part of it. Ed Cabrera says, thank you as well. Let's see. Giovanni says, okay, boomer. Well, I'm not a boomer, but okay. Dreamweave says, how long can the immigration hold a deportation order over a person from Vietnam that was convicted? How long? There's no how long. There's no end date for deportation order unless you undo it or something like that. You should consult with an immigration attorney. It seems like a serious situation that you have. Prince says, my fiance has been here all her life, and her residency expired December 2021. Your fiance needs to just consult with an attorney. I'm not sure. Are you saying they're already a green card holder? The residency doesn't expire if they're a green card holder. The card does, and they just need to file a renewal. But they could potentially file for citizenship. But it seems like there's probably more to this, or else you wouldn't have asked this question. So I'll just say, email my office, schedule a consultation with your fiance should, so I can just dive in deeper and see what's going on and give a strategy or guidance that's appropriate for her case. Sran says, do you have any information about Fresno field office is open or not? Thanks. You should always just check uscis.gov. They have a list of the open offices. And the thing is, they're open, but they're not seeing every kind of case. So the question is flawed right there. They're open for some cases and some emergency situations or citizenship cases, but not necessarily an adjustment of status case. So, your question is the facts are different. The explanation is different. Prince says, will it stop her from reapplying for residency? I mean, I don't know, Prince. I got to talk with her. I can't advise to some person a third party I've never met before. I don't know anything about. Wally says, where are you located? I'm in New York. My current immigration lawyer is terrible. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm headquartered in Los Angeles. And most types of cases, I mean, all the cases my office handles, I could do it in Los Angeles. If you're in New York, I have clients in New York. And I have colleagues there too that are good people. So I would say is email my office first. Let me know the immigration issue that you have, so I can see if it's something I handle or if it's something local attorney is better to handle, and we'll take it from there. My email is info@jqqlaw.com. That's info@jqqlaw.com. And let me just take a quick look, explain what it is, and we can take it from there. All right, Adia says, hi, is the presidential proclamation affect the MVC process also if the petitioner is a resident? Well, there's been a lot of proclamations and executive orders by this president, but the National Visa Center work has not been attached to any of them. So National Visa Center or the NVC, the initial step for consular processing when you're doing an immigrant visa case, has not been affected by any of this, and they're doing their daily work. Although they're understaffed, I think a lot of people mistakenly, a lot of people think that the National Visa Center is closed, so they're actually less busy, it seems, because all my interactions with the National Visa Center have been extremely fast in the last couple weeks and months, where I ask them a question or send something, they're responding really quickly. So I think what happened is a lot of people are doing the cases themselves, not with lawyers, mistakenly think the NVC is closed, so they're not actually moving the case forward, so they're actually sitting there without much work to do, because they've been faster than they've ever been, which is the opposite of how it usually works. So there you go. All right, Simon says, anything new changes for removal of conditions on green card? Any new, well, not any new changes. There's one thing, what was it? It's just the discretion factor has gotten worse, but it really depends on a case-by-case basis. No overt proclamations or things like that. There was one where it says if you have if your green card expires and for I-751, and then you get a new marriage, you don't have to go to court or give up your green card. You can just file based on new marriage or new green card situation. It's a little more complicated than I want to go into here. It's not a situation regular people are going to deal with too often. But that's a memo that came out based on a court case about 2 months ago. But I'm not going to go too much detail on that. It's too complicated, not needed. You're welcome, Prince. Dreamweaver says, can you recommend an immigration lawyer from North Iowa that would help overturn a deportation order? No, I don't have anyone, fortunately for you, from North Iowa that I can recommend that I know of. Maybe if I think about it and stuff, but that's going to take me time. So just go on these websites, go to Yelp, go to Avvo, go to Google, look at people's reviews and see what kind of work they did. Consult with 3 or 4 of them, talk with them, see what kind of strategies they have, 3, 4, 5 really. And that's just the way you got to do your homework. It's your life. You got to spend the time to do the homework. Aurora says, can't somebody who had voluntary deportation apply for legal status in the future? Maybe. It depends on the facts. That's not enough facts there, no. So we have to know a lot more information and situation. Shri says, hi, for I-751, what if I didn't receive my green card even after 18 months? My extension letter expires on February. But it just sometimes takes that long. It is what it is. That's nothing abnormal. Unfortunately, it's an abnormal situation, but it's normal for immigration. The fact that they can't get the I-751 done in less than a year or 2 is a crazy situation, but that's just how it's been. Brisbane says, if I go to your office, can you be my immigration lawyer? I'm in California. I don't know. First, we have to schedule a consultation, so I review your case and see if I can accept the case or even something that's doable. Sometimes the case just is not possible. Once we make a decision on that, we could talk about process and price and all that kind of stuff, and then make the decision if we're going to work together. It doesn't always work out, but that's the initial step. You email my office, briefly describe the immigration issue that you have. We have an initial video consultation. There's a fee for that, but then we take it from there. So first of all, just email me at info@jqqlaw.com. Describe the immigration issue that you have, and then we'll just take it from there. Drew says, thank you, you're welcome. Andrew says, hi, good evening from Florida. How long will the process take after you submit selective service waiver? Selective service waiver? There's no waiver for the selective service. I'm not sure what you're talking about. When it comes to the length of process, I don't answer those questions. Sayed says, my wife's case was approved in January. How long MVC give me notice? January 9th. Well, if it's 6 months gone, then there's major issues. You need to contact the National Visa Center. Abdul Shah says, do you, in your experience, which I-130 process faster, spouse of a green card or for a citizen? Typically, the spouse of a citizen is quicker, but things change. So what happened was, when you used to, by used to I mean a year ago, but if you're a green card holder filing for your spouse, there was a line in the preference category, the visa bulletin, all that kind of stuff, that took 2 years. So they were slower on doing those green card cases because it was not a priority. But for the last 6 or 9 months, there's been no backlog in the spouse of a green card holder category. So I think they'll start working on those faster. But generally, over time, spouse of a U.S. citizen case, I-130, is faster. Okay, thank you all for joining. We got a speed round of questions right there. And thank you all for asking and participating. We got a lot of regulars, got a lot of new people. If you haven't already and you're looking to do a marriage or fiance case, and I want to just reiterate this, go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com. ebook and download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card ebook. You're going to have the best information you need to be able to get the initial strategy and understanding of how the process works. Now, there's a lot more to it. You should still consult with a couple lawyers to see what's going on. But if you want an initial place to look at that's reliable, go there and check that out. Jesse says, congrats to Mr. Khosravi on your 2,000 subscribers on YouTube. Thank you so much. I want to thank everyone on YouTube as well. We just hit 2,000, probably 2,100 right now or so. We're going for 10,000, maybe 100,000, who knows. Well, one by one, I want to appreciate it and thank everyone who's subscribed there. And also on TikTok, we have around 11,000 subscribers. And Instagram, we're catching up, almost 1,000 about to pop up. And just keep pushing it, sharing this information. But I appreciate the kind words, Jesse. Thank you so much. I'm glad I could share some information and help to all those who need it. Alma Pierre says, I'm on DACA receipt. My husband petitioned me in November. How long before I get approved? I don't know, Alma. I need to know your case. You might not be able to even get adjust status. And so you have a complex process that I need to know more information and to break it down. For example, if you're on DACA, many people on DACA entered without inspection. They're EWI, they enter without permission. And for those cases, they need to go to the embassy to do an embassy interview. And before that, you may or may not, probably do, but maybe not, need to get a waiver. So there's you need a waiver, you need an embassy interview, the embassy is shut down, probably from Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, so that's going to be longer. There's a lot of things that have to go. I wouldn't be focused on how long things will take. I'll be focused on if you're going to get approved and what the strategy is. So you should consult with an attorney in private to talk about these details other than the length. To me, that's the least important part. We just got to get sure it's done rather than worrying about if it's 2 or 3 months faster or slower, that kind of stuff. You're welcome, Abdul Shah. Thanks so much. Let's go for $1 million. That for sure. Thank you. Mohammed says, I filed my case I-130 last year, October, but I still get anything yet. I don't know. I got to see what kind of I-130 you have, what field center, service center you submitted. I don't know. Alan Press, thank you for the info. You're welcome. Andrew says, I'm talking about my citizenship, how long it takes after a selective service waiver. I don't know what a selective service waiver is. You either sign up for selective service or you didn't. There's no waiver that I'm aware of. So maybe I just don't know. I don't know. But consult attorney and probably do some research on that. But when it comes to how long things take, it just depends on your case and how long they want it to take. There's no answer to how long it takes necessarily. Each case is different. Any update? I am She Queen said, any update asylum? There's major updates happening. But if you want to, I just did a recording just recapping the potential major updates that are coming from my podcast, immigrationlawyerspodcast.com. I'll be posting that probably the next day or 2 or 3. You can check it out there. I'm with one of the head lawyers of a group called Clinic. They're an association nonprofit, and they wrote a big 100-page response to the major changes to the immigration asylum system that's happening. It's crazy, really, the changes that are happening. But you could check that out, just immigrationlawyerspodcast.com. That's lawyers is plural with S, immigrationlawyerspodcast.com. I did the interview yesterday. I got it edited. It'll probably be out in a couple of days. But check that out if you have some questions or you want some updates on what's going on with the asylum system. Mohammed says, USCIS I send here in New York. Okay. I don't know what your question is. Sorry, if you don't ask all your questions in one place, I kind of lose track of what happened. Alicia says, hello, how long does it take to get an EAD when filing for adjustment through marriage? It varies. I don't like to answer time questions. Mohammed says, before COVID, I get fingerprints, but after that, no response. So just need to wait then. That's all you got to do. All right, yeah, the questions about timelines, I don't answer those here. Each case is different, and you can look it up on uscis.gov potentially. If things change, I don't like to answer those kind of questions. Boss says, my son, 10 years old, biometrics were done in February 2019. For a green card, how long does it take? Again, I don't answer questions about how long things take. Why don't you want to answer my question? Karina, I think you come in every once in a while and say that kind of question, so I'm just going to block you. Block. Okay. Mohammed says, thank you so much, brother. You're welcome. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's Karina, I think, frequently just comes and says some crazy stuff like that. Yeah, this timeline question is impossible to ask, and the asylum situation is severe. I mean, from what the attorney was telling me, who read the guidance, that the proposed regulation that the Trump administration is putting out for changing asylum rules, essentially going to shut down asylum, like for a large part, vast majority of it. It's pretty intense what they're doing. Yeah, we'll see what happens. It's a bizarre situation we're dealing with, but that is the U.S. immigration system in a nutshell for the last 4 years now. Now we'll see what happens in the next 4 years. I can't see it getting much better, to be honest. I think it's going to go downhill, but in the meantime, you just got to do what you got to do and get your life going and file these cases. MB says, if my wife applies for marriage-based green card and have deportation, it's good to stay or leave volunteered. And that's really case specific. You got to consult an immigration in private to discuss that matter. Ivy says, will DACA renewal only be issued for 1 year now? Could that change in the future? I don't know. I didn't read the full memo that they put out. I think it's just regular renewals, not just 1 year. But I didn't read the details of what the Department of Homeland Security announced today. So I would say, just check out that memo or wait a couple days for a bunch of lawyers going to do videos on it properly. But you got to renew anyways, and you'll get what it is. So you'll see what it is though. So if you file, if it gets approved, they'll tell you how much time there's. At the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is you have no control or power over it, so it doesn't matter. Just do what you got to do and get it and keep it going. Okay, so we're nearing the end of today's show. If you have some last final questions, let me know, and we'll answer them. Can't answer questions about timelines. That's not the best thing to do. And DACA is a weird situation. Asylum is a weird situation. But we're still getting cases approved and filing them. So I'm filing a bunch of marriage cases, fiance cases, L1 intercompany transfers. One of my buddies had a couple of O1 visas that were denied, and he sued on them because the denials were ridiculous, and both of them got approved upon suing. The government said, oh, they backed off and said, oh, you're right, essentially, and got that. So things are still working. It's just the main thing is getting in-person interaction kind of stuff. So if you're going to an interview at the embassy, those are starting to happen. Some embassies, like I have a colleague in Israel who gets appointment notices for his cases in Israel, and then 2 weeks go by, then they send a notice saying we're canceling those appointments, COVID-19, we're too afraid. And so it's a weird situation we're in. Now, one of our watchers, Rashad, says, please share this live so I can watch it carefully later. I do a live every Monday through Thursday, Rashad. I post it on YouTube, the JQK Law Firm page. You can always catch all the lives for the last 3 months that I've been doing them and the future ones. As long as clips and stuff, you can catch it there. Just youtube.com, JQK Law. And my page is there. Definitely subscribe and ring that bell so you get notifications. But you'll catch it there. Yeah, just thanks for kind words, and thanks for reminding me to remind people about that. You're welcome, Ivy Love. Thank you too. And User49, thank you as well. All right, so I'll take 1 or 2 more questions. We're about to end it, but that's the situation with these interactions with the government. The least amount you interact with them, the better, and that's one of the main reasons I prefer the marriage green card rather than the fiancé visa. Because marriage green cards have less interactions with USCIS or embassies, and because of that, there's just less filing fees and less chances of things going bad. So the least amount of interactions, the better it is, and that's my rule. All right, one last question. Ed T. Bark says, how to expedite asylum interview? Any idea if new rules affect August 21st to be sued, put on hold? I don't really know what's happening with regards to future rules. We'll have to see how they actually come out. But with regards to expedited asylum, you could always make an expedited request from USCIS. In LA, I don't do asylum cases anymore. I used to have this program where it could be on hold. So if somebody calls in that day or day before, they say, I can't come to my asylum appointment, I'm sick or something, they would give a call to you saying, can you come right now? And if you could, you got to drive immediately to the local asylum office and go there. So if you live close by, that could work. But I'm not sure if they still do that or not, what the circumstances are, but that's something that could be done. Vivian says, can I accelerate my case that I filed 2 years ago? I don't know, Vivian. There's 30 different kinds of immigration cases. I don't know what your case is. So you should just consult with an immigration in private to check it out and see what you can or can't do and all that kind of stuff. That's just not enough information for me to answer that. Okay, one last question. How long does I-485 take? Well, it varies. It varies. It might take 15 years. For in some categories, it might take 6 months in others. It varies. So that's not enough information. You should consult with an immigration attorney to check that out. Okay, I'll take one more. Kaya says, my brother has a humanitarian parole. His priority date for a green card has come. Can he apply for a green card? There's a lot more things I need to know to see if someone can apply for a green card or not. I would need to have a consultation to review his background to see what's going on. So that's a question that requires a private consultation with your brother and also the petitioner of the case to see what's going on, who the affiliate support sponsors, all that kind of stuff. But thanks, Etibar says thank you as well. I appreciate everyone who joined us today. We'll be back here tomorrow, Wednesday, July 29th. Every Monday through Thursday on TikTok, Immigration Lawyer John. Wednesdays, we're on YouTube. So I look forward to seeing you on YouTube. By Instagram, we'll be back on Instagram on Thursday. But YouTube, JK Law Firm, not only is the recording there, but Wednesdays we do a live video there for the people who joined there to check it out and ask their questions. I want to thank everyone who joined, and I wish you all the best. If you're thinking about doing a marriage marriage-based green card or fiance-based green card, go to marriageimmigrationlaw.com/ebook and download the Ultimate Marriage Green Card ebook. That's the first thing you should do when you're planning to go down this immigration route. Thanks everyone for joining again. I'll see you all tomorrow. Until then, be safe and God bless. Bye-bye.